Have you ever stopped to think that the ground right under your feet isn't just, well, ground? You know, the hills you might climb or the flat plains you drive across, they've been quietly shaping human life, our cultures, and our entire history for millions of years. So, let's dive into how they do it.
You know, there's this piece of ancient wisdom from the Atharva Veda that just nails it. It talks about this really deep, profound connection between us and the planet. And it's so true. It's a relationship that's way deeper than just living on the surface. The very shape of the land we live on actually molds who we become.
So, if you think about our planet's surface like a giant canvas, you'll see it's painted with three main shapes. You've got your mountains, your plateaus, and your plains. Our journey today is going to take us through all three, from the highest, most jagged peaks right down to the flat, fertile river valleys that have been the cradles of humanity for thousands of years. All right, first stop, the majestic and kind of intimidating world of mountains. I mean, these are landscapes of pure extremes. They push life to its absolute limits, but in doing so, they create some of the most incredible resilience you'll ever see.
So what is a mountain exactly? It's not just about being tall. It's really a classic recipe. You need a wide, broad base, then some seriously steep slopes that rise up dramatically, and it all comes together at a narrow peak reaching for the sky.
And here's something really cool. Mountains actually have a life cycle. Yep, young mountains, think of the Himalayas, they're still growing, which gives them those iconic, sharp, pointy peaks. But then you have the really ancient ones, like the Aravalli Range, which have been beaten down by millions of years of wind and rain. All that weathering softens their edges, turning them into these gentle, rolling hills.
And you can see that difference so clearly right here. On the left, that's the sharp, youthful peak of Mount Everest. Now look to the right. Those are the softer, much older slopes of an Anamudi in South India. It's basically the story of deep time, written right there on the landscape for us to see.
But let's be real. Life in the mountains is tough. It is a constant struggle. You're dealing with rugged terrain, brutal weather, and you've always got these dangers like landslides and avalanches hanging over your head. Even something as basic as farming, the very thing most societies are built on, is incredibly hard to do up there.
But here's the thing about humans. We are ridiculously ingenious. When we're faced with these impossibly steep slopes, people came up with a brilliant fix: terrace farming. They literally carved steps into the side of the mountain. It created flat land to grow crops and turned a huge challenge into an opportunity. It's just this beautiful, powerful testament to how adaptable we can be.
And you know, mountains aren't just a physical challenge to survive. They're a challenge to our spirit. They inspire these unbelievable feats of human endurance. I mean, think about Pachendri Pal, the first Indian woman to climb Everest, or Arunima Sinha, who climbed it after losing a leg. Their stories just go to show that the pull of the mountains is as much about our inner strength as it is about physical skill.
Okay, so we've been up in the peaks, right? We've explored the highs. But what about land that's way up high, but also flat? Well, that question leads us right to our next major landform.
Welcome to the world of plateaus. You can think of them as these huge elevated tablelands, and they are some of the most unique and, frankly, some of the most vital landscapes on the entire planet. Just to give you a sense of scale, check this out. The Tibetan Plateau has an average height of 4,500 meters. That is over half the height of Mount Everest, but it's stretched out over an area the size of Western Europe. It's no wonder they call it the roof of the world. It really is.
But a lot of the time, the real importance of plateaus is hidden, right beneath the surface. Because of how they were formed, a lot of them are basically giant storehouses of valuable minerals. Take India's Chota Nagpur Plateau. It's an absolute powerhouse of iron, coal, and manganese. It literally fuels industry and development.
And it's not all just about mining. The unique geography of plateaus, this combination of high flat land with super steep edges, it creates the perfect recipe for some of the world's most spectacular waterfalls. Right here, you're looking at the Nohokalai Falls in India, plunging 340 meters. Just a stunning display of raw, natural power.
So, from the highlands, let's make our way down to our final landform, the plains. These are the low-lying, flat areas where, let's face it, the vast majority of people on Earth live. And trust me, there is a very, very good reason for that.
The story of the plains is really a story about rivers. See, as rivers flow down from the mountains, they're like these giant conveyor belts, carrying all this nutrient-rich stuff called sediment. Then, when the river gets to the flat lowlands, it slows way down, and it drops all that good stuff, building up these incredibly fertile layers of soil over thousands and thousands of years. And that incredible fertility means you can support huge populations. Get this, a staggering 400 million people live in India's Ganga Plain alone. That's more than the entire population of the United States, all concentrated in one single river basin. It's mind-boggling.
And this satellite image just brings that number to life. You can see the snowy Himalayas up at the top, and then, spreading out from their base is this massive, lush green expanse. That's the Ganga Plain. And every little bit of that green represents the farms and the cities, all powered by that one river.
And really, this is a pattern we see all through history. Wherever you find fertile soil and a reliable source of water, civilization just blossoms. From ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt to the Indus and Ganga valleys right here, these fertile plains have always been the engines of human progress.
So from the highest peaks all the way down to the lowest plains, it becomes pretty clear that landforms aren't just a pretty backdrop for our lives, are they? No, they actively shape our jobs, our challenges, and even our cultures.
And this is not some new idea. Ancient Tamil poetry actually classified the land into 5 different types, or tinais. And as you can see, each landscape, from the mountains to the coast, was directly tied to a specific way of life. It just shows this deep, timeless understanding of the powerful bond between people and the place they call home. The land has always shaped us. That's been the story for all of human history. But today, our power to shape the land is greater than it has ever been. So as we look to the future, the choices we make are going to define the next chapter of this ancient relationship. The question isn't just, how does the Earth shape us anymore? Now it's also, how will we choose to shape it?